What is your view about what's going on right now in Arizona and in terms of the issue of immigration, both legal and the more problematic one now, of course, is illegal?
Well, you talked about, a couple of questions ago, you talked about the African-American community, the Latino community, the Asian community. Immigration is obviously a big issue in the Asian community as well. And I think
I mean, I know that, you know that, but maybe a lot of people out there don't.
Oh,
necessarily.
well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, Asian Americans are actually probably more immigrant than the Latino community. We're always looking to the Latino community to learn from. You know, the Latino community is several steps ahead of the Asian community in terms of just the overall progress in this country, particularly as immigrants. What's happening in Arizona is obviously not only anti-immigrant, it's un-American. The idea that law enforcement officers would be not only have the option, but they would be required to essentially pick people out based on the way they look. I mean, that's racial profiling. It's not something that is tolerated in this country. It is not what our values are about. And so we're going to do what we can to engage in a boycott of Arizona, to try to put pressure on them. I think it was a great thing that the Phoenix City Council is adamantly against the state legislation that was passed in Arizona. But we have to put pressure on Congress and the administration to finally pass meaningful, comprehensive immigration reform. And when they do, they will preempt anything that the federal law would preempt anything that's been enacted at the state level. So on the one hand, we want to put pressure on Arizona and be mindful of the fact that other states are looking at similar statutes. But on the other hand, we have to keep the real focus on Washington.
You say comprehensive immigration reform, and of course a lot of people use that same phrase. But to you, what would be, without necessarily going into chapter and verse, because we don't have that much time, to you, what would be the key provisions that you see as being necessary and appropriate for a comprehensive immigration reform?
First and foremost, not criminalizing 12 to 13 million people who are already here in America and who do work, have jobs that that almost every American relies on a day-to-day basis, whether they realize it or not. There needs to be family unification, certainly getting rid of these current policies that yank parents away from young children for bad reasons, keeping families together, and also allowing families to reunite by having family members being able to immigrate here if their family members are already here. And then finally, a path towards citizenship. A path towards citizenship that is not going to be the way it has been for many years, which is, you know, it's a shot in the dark. You don't know if it's going to take 5 years or 15 years. You don't know exactly where your process is. Your fingerprints, your applications get lost in the process. That a real way, a predictable path towards and a relatively short path towards citizenship.
Now, I don't know if it was an oversight, but in that list you never mentioned, for example, some kind of control of the borders, controlling the flow of immigration, particularly of illegal immigration into the United States. You don't see that as being necessary?
I believe that America, more than anybody else, and more than any other nation, pushes for a global economy. We want to get into every country. We want to be able to market our own goods and services. We believe in free trade. And free trade at the end of the day means free movement of people. That's the way it should be. I think as a country, we should be flattered that so many people from all over the world want to be American also.
Well, let me see if I get this straight. So would you say tomorrow, if you had the power, okay, all the borders are open, whoever wants to come here, however many people want to come here at any given time, come on in?
David, the reality of it is right now, there are already pretty strong border protections in place, but the deportations of parents, taking them away from little kids for minor offenses that may have occurred 20, 30 years prior,
No, but
That's wrong.
no, but you had already mentioned, you know, you didn't want to see families ripped apart and so on. But I'm talking about, as many people have said and fear, that path to legalization, 12 million that are here, they get legalized, and that leads another 12 or 13 million to say, aha, well, see, all we got to do is get there, and if we get there, eventually we'll be legalized too, when there are people throughout the world who apply for legal immigrant status to come into the United States, and there have been legal immigrants from the beginning of this country. So it's not that would stop immigration, but we're talking about just millions of people suddenly coming across the border on their own.
The reality, the fact of the matter is that the system in place today just does not work. When you make it so difficult for people who want to be American, and you know, we project this image of America all over the world, that it's great to be American. And I do believe it's great to be American. But you make it so difficult for people, at some point, the system's going to be overwhelmed. I think we got to be a lot more open about people wanting to be American, about allowing people who want to be American to actually become American. And if we're a country that goes all over the world saying democracy is the best, especially American-style democracy, and that it's great to be American, then we should be more welcome to people from all over the world.